Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Here we're going to be getting started on the creation of our AI agent, and we are actually going to dive right into the creation of the agent, not really worry about any of the other, basic things like if-then statements or loops. We will get to that later, but I felt that the reason why you guys have taken this course or are interested in using n8n is to work with AI agents. So this is the first thing I want to show you guys so that you get a little bit of interest in learning the rest of the things as well. So let's start with the first step. The first step in any workflow is usually to add a trigger. A trigger is what starts your workflow. And these are the many different ways that you can start a workflow. You can come to the workflow, double click on it, and that will manually start the workflow. We rarely use this, but it's usually used for testing purposes. The on app event, so there might be an event that happens inside, say, your Telegram app, which is somebody sending a message to your bot. So that can trigger your workflow. You can trigger it on an interval. So maybe you want to check your email every 15 minutes for a certain type of email that might come in. In that case, you can run your workflow on a schedule. You can run it so that another application can send or can trigger your workflow via an HTTP request. So you can run it on a webhook call. You can run it on a form submission. So if you have a lead submitting a form and you want to quickly qualify that lead and capture it into your CRM, you can run this on that. You can actually have your workflow be executed by another workflow, which is a sweet little feature. And you can also run it on a chat message. And if you guys want a guided resource with tutorials on each of these, you can check out the links in the description. So let me click this. And we don't really need to change any of these settings currently. So I'm just going to click out of it. And here, oh, by the way to move around in the canvas, there are a few very useful features. One of them is if you press in on the scroll button and then you drag it around, you can actually move around the canvas very nicely. And you can also hit Control and you can zoom out or scroll out, and that will allow you to zoom out of your canvas and move it around. Okay, so with that, let me hit save. Let me just click hide and then click chat. And here I'm going to say, hi there. Sweet. So let's just see what happened there. And here we can see that the output from this trigger is the session ID, which is actually super useful because when we have multiple conversations happening at the same time, we want to be able to identify which chat input came from which conversation so that we can store it in the right location and we can respond to the right conversation. Obviously, we don't want to have any mix and match going on over there. So this takes care of that issue. Then we have the action, which is send message. And then we have our chat input, which is hi there, which is what we typed in. Okay, let's come back. And now we're going to add our AI agent. We can do that via here. We can do that via here. We can also right click and add it in. All of these are valid, but the easiest way here is to just add it to our chain. So here you can see that we have a bunch of different activities or a bunch of different categories of nodes available to us. And we will definitely go through a lot of these. So don't worry about that. But the main thing I want to show in the beginning is how to add an AI agent. So we are going to go over to the advanced AI nodes first. So inside the advanced AI nodes, we have a bunch of different types of agents available to us. Let me just go through a few of these. So we have the AI agent. The AI agent is the one we're actually going to be using. So the AI agent is able to obviously have a chat model that is required for all the agents. And this is where you're able to decide which type of model you wish to use. You can see you have a lot of different choices: DeepSeek, Anthropic, Gemini, which is one of the fastest models out there right now, and then you also have your OpenAI chat model. You can store the chat messages according to the session ID. So memory will actually take care of storing the messages very efficiently for you. And then you also have tools where you're able to, call other n8n workflows. You can use the Pinecone vector stores, which is how you can do RAG, and we will cover that in much more detail in the future. And you can do, other things as well alongside that. So this is why the AI agent is super, super useful, because once you connect these different tools together, it is able to create the logic that is necessary to utilize them and answer the customer query without you having to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So let's just take a look at what other AI agents were available as well. So if I go back here, we have the OpenAI node. This is specialized for OpenAI specifically. And usually I don't end up using this because we're able to do much more with some of these other nodes. We have a basic LLM chain. Basic LLM chain is going to only have the model. It's not going to have memory or tools. Let's go back. We have the information extractor. So this is utilized when you want to extract information from a text and you want the output to be in a structured format. So here you have, a similar structure as the basic LLM chain, but when you go inside, you will see that you have a place to paste your text in, but you also have a way to get this data in a very structured format. So for example, you can say company underscore name, you can give it a type, and then you can give it a description for that attribute, and you can extract that information from the text, and it will be outputted very nicely for you. Let me add another one of these. Okay. So you have a question and answer chain, which allows you to extract answers from retrieved documents. That is going to be utilizing your Pinecone vector store. You can get some sentiment analysis on your text. You have a summarization chain. And lastly, you have your text classifier, which is going to allow you to classify your text, which is actually very useful for doing routing types of calls. So if I click on this and you want to classify your text, maybe the user has said, okay, I want to understand where my order is. Say you have an e-commerce store and you have a chatbot for that. The user might ask where my order is, and they might have a variety of different ways of describing that question. They might say, oh, I haven't received my order. They might say, I want to know the location of this order. And they have very many unstructured ways of asking that question. But you only want it to be classified into maybe 2 or 3 different ways. One is, okay, I want to cancel my order. The other one might be, I want to know where my order is. A third one might be, okay, how do I use my product? And you can classify the input into one of those 3 outputs and then have different workflows to deal with each of those. And that's where something like this is going to be very useful to you. All right, so let me actually just get rid of all of these. And let's stick with our AI agent. All right, so the AI agent that we have here is connected to our chat trigger node, and the prompt or the user message is automatically inputted from the chat input node. All right, scroll down, and here I'm just going to add a system message. So let's go here, and instead of this, we are going to say something like, you are a customer support agent for an e-commerce store. Please help answer the customer's questions. So if you have used ChatGPT before, or if you have used any of the AI platforms, you are able to set a system message, which is essentially instructions to the system. And it's not something which is part of the user input. The user input is separate, but these are the instructions which you give the system. and these are combined with the user input to produce the output. Now, there are other options that you can set as well, like max iterations, return intermediate steps, and so on, but we wouldn't really worry about those for now. These are sort of useful when you have a multi-step processes so that you can set a maximum number of iterations you might want, and you might want to see the result of the intermediate steps. Okay, so let me just come out of this. And you can see that we have an error. The reason for that error is because we don't actually have a chat model attached. So if you take a look at these, and if I just scroll in a little bit, let me hide the chat window, you can see that we have a asterisk next to the chat model, which means that we require a chat model for this AI agent to work, whereas the memory and the tool are not required, but they're optional. So let's get started with adding a chat model to our AI agent. There are multiple different models we can choose from, and since most of you guys will be familiar with OpenAI, we'll just go with OpenAI. So here what we get to do is we get to create our credential. And in order to create our credential, we will need an API key. Now, if you have an OpenAI subscription, so whatever the $30 plan that they have, that is actually not going to give you an API key. That is the B2C, the consumer product that they have. In order to get an API key, you actually have to go over to their website, openai.com, hit login, go over to API platform, which is different from the ChatGPT. And the API platform is where you will be able to get your API key from. Now, if you have not created an account before, you can obviously go and create the account, fund it with like $10, and it will take a long time for that $10 to deplete. So don't worry about using that up too quickly. And once you've done that, you can come over to API keys. And here you can create a new API key. So I'm just going to call it n8n course. And all right, that's totally fine. Okay, I'm going to create this API key. And don't worry, I will be deleting this API key once I'm done with the course. So there we go. So I've copied the API key. And let's come back to our n8n workflow. Okay. And we can leave all of the rest of the stuff as it is. Hit save. Sweet, so we have created that credential for us. Let me get out of this. All right, so now you can see that the error that we were experiencing earlier has disappeared. All right, so let me hit save. And now let's do a quick little chat. Let's say, and actually I want to reset this. I don't want to continue the session. All right, so now we have a totally new session going on. I'm going to say, hi there, can you please help me with my order? Sweet. So we get a response. It says, of course, I'll be happy to help you with your order. Can I get your order number and details? Let's make up some order number. Let's say order number 1192. Okay, how can I assist you with your order 1192? I would like to get my shipping status. Interesting. So as you can see over here, we gave our order number 1192, and it mentioned that it has picked up the order number 1192. But now if we go back and we say, okay, I would like my shipping status, it doesn't have that information because currently we are not storing any memory. So that is what we're going to cover in the next video, how we can add memory so that our chatbot is actually able to keep track of this information and not have to ask our customer again and again. But that's our first video, and congratulations, you have actually created your first AI agent. So I would be pretty happy about that. So, with that, thank you so much for joining here. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the links in the description to get more resources. If you are a business owner and want to implement AI automation into your business, you can reach out to us and I'll be happy to chat with you. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.